Good evening, you're watching News Today at 9 p.m. I'm Preeti Choudhry. Once again, we're going to put the focus on the Kolkata rape and murder horror. We're going to get you the latest coming in, but first up, allow me to take you through the headlines. CBI ramps up Kolkata rape murder probe, seeks lie detector test. A former RGK principal says his statements are inconsistent. Victims' families' statements also recorded. Kolkata rape victim's family makes a big charge, says daughter's cremation was hastened to destroy evidence. India Today tracks down the crematorium staff, claims cops made him hurry up last rites. Relief for Siddaramaiah in land scam probe. High Court halts action against the Chief Minister until next hearing on August 29th. Congress urges President to ask Governor to withdraw his prosecution order. Big buzz in poll-bound Jharkhand. Former Chief Minister Champai Soren mulls JMM exit, claiming he was stripped of power. Hemant Soren alleges Operation Lotus in Jharkhand. Damning Hema panel report on Malayalam film industry release. Report flags sex abuse in the industry, says women asked for sexual favours. Opposition claims report censored. Lateral entry row escalates. Government rejects Rahul Gandhi's lateral entry allegation, says lateral entry began under UPA. BJP ally Chirag Paswan opposes lateral entry move. Terror bleeds Jammu and Kashmir once again. CRPF patrol party in Udhampur ambushed by terrorists. CRPF Inspector Kuldeep Kumar killed in action. Search operations on. Mumbai BMW hit-and-run accused Mihir Shah claims illegal detention. Mihir Shah, accused of killing a woman in the hit-and-run, moves High Court seeking release. Prime Minister Modi to visit war-torn Ukraine on the 23rd of August. This will be the first time that an Indian Prime Minister will visit Ukraine in 30 years. It's day 4 of the CBI investigation into the Kolkata rape and murder case. The CBI team today visited the victim's residence for over 7 hours. The probe agency recorded the parent's statement. The other big development, the victim's family has alleged a bid to destroy evidence. The 31-year-old doctor's father has claimed the cremation was hurried up by authorities, adding that there were 3 bodies to be cremated on the same day, but his daughter's was cremated first. The other big development, a fresh plea has been filed in the Supreme Court seeking the formation of a 3-panel retired judges to oversee CBI's investigation. Top court will hear the plea tomorrow. Meanwhile, CBI has received permission to conduct a lie detector test on Sanjay Roy, the accused in the rape murder case. Roy, a civic volunteer, was arrested a day after the body of the doctor was found in the seminar hall of the RGK Medical College and Hospital on the 9th of August. Over 70 Padma awardees doctors write to the Prime Minister demanding action against the heinous rape. Padma awardee doctors also demand a separate law to deal with violence against health workers. All right, the top story continues to be the Kolkata rape and murder horror, which continues to haunt India. Amidst this growing outrage, the Mamata Banerjee government finds itself on the back foot. From doctors to citizens to politicians, the pressure is mounting. And how did the TMC government respond? Well, where the Kolkata police was concerned, it responded by summoning critics of the Mamata regime, sparking even more of an outcry. The Kolkata police says this was necessary as even some prominent citizens of Kolkata were spreading misinformation. However, the bigger question is this: Didi's biggest crisis in Bengal since 2011.
Mamata Banerjee is under siege. The rape and murder of a doctor at the RGK hospital in Kolkata has sparked an outrage that has forced the undisputed boss of West Bengal on the back foot. Ordinary citizens, doctors, rival political parties have all hit the street. The TMC government has responded with a crackdown. The Kolkata police issued notices to several people over charges ranging from spreading misinformation and revealing the victim's identity. Those who got summons include medical practitioners Dr. Kunal Sarkar, Dr. Subarna Goswami, TMC MP Sanjay Roy, BJP leader Locket Chatterjee. The doctors on Monday led a march to the police headquarters.
সোশ্যাল মিডিয়ায় আপনি আপনার বক্তব্য পোস্ট করতে পারেন, কিন্তু ভাষা যুক্তি যেন ঠিক থাকে আর ভুল তথ্য, বিকৃত তথ্য, ভুয়ো ফেক অডিও তৈরি করে সেটা শেয়ার করা, নির্যাতিতার নাম ভুল।
The police also arrested Kirti Sharma, a college student, over her social media posts. TMC leaders defended the arrest, saying the student had called for the CM's assassination in her message. The authorities had earlier slapped prohibitory orders around the RJ Kar College, barring the assembly of more than 5 people. The family of the victim questioned the attempted curbs on protests.
सीएम अपने रास्ते में नाम उतार के जस्टिस मांगता है, फिर जो जनरल पब्लिक है उसने जब जस्टिस मांगता है उसको बंद करने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे हैं। क्या इसकी सब क्या बात है?
Mamata's political rivals are turning up the heat. The BJP is demanding her resignation.
She is a destroyer of the rule of law. The anarchist Mamata Banerjee. She is the destroyer of evidence in this heinous crime.
The anger on the street is palpable. On Sunday, supporters of local football giants and arch rivals Mohun Bagan and East Bengal joined hands in a rare gesture calling for justice for Abhaya, hours after the cancellation of the derby match. Mamata is facing one of the biggest challenges since taking over as CM in 2011. Will Didi be able to weather the storm and douse the fire in time?
With many now saying this perhaps could be one of the worst phases of Mamata Banerjee's political career, while she has been able to make a comeback in several such occasions, the big question is, will she be able to do that once again this time? Especially when it is her core vote bank, the women vote, which is out on the streets of Kolkata, seething in anger.
With Indrajit Kundu, Bureau Report, India Today.
Dr. Kunal Sarkar, the allegations, he's with us right now. Appreciate you joining us, Dr. Sarkar. I believe you were summoned by the Kolkata police. Can you take us through on what were the reasons on which you were summoned? Because officially we are told it was for spreading misinformation.
Look, it's almost reads like a little bit of PG Woodhouse, because they were misinformed about their misinformation. Because what they basically did, they picked two of us up. I think two people who've had, for varying reasons, a decent social media viewership. They have been heard, and what they have said has been discussed. Whatever. So they had two premises, Preeti. One premises was that they had some kind of generic complaints. One generic grievance they have was that repeated divulging of the girl's identity. Now that is bad enough, but you see, the times have been so peculiar. The girl's identity has been revealed inadvertently not less than 3 times by the Calcutta police themselves. The girl's identity has been revealed at least twice by honorable members of parliament who belong to the ruling dispensation. And then, what has happened is, sometimes out of mischief, sometimes out of carelessness. A whole lot of people discussing this case especially on Bengali social media, have taken liberty to post photographs and give her names. That's, fair enough. But you cannot single out two people and start making generic complaints, because none of us, whatever conversation we've had, that, rightly or wrongly may have gathered a large enough audience, but neither of these two people summoned today had anything to do with diverging identity. And the second thing they said was that spreading rumors. Now, we did not go into the depths and details that how do you define a rumor? What exactly is a rumor? Because when you don't have facts, when you don't have updates, when you have all these hearsay going around political conspiracy theories, there are bound to be, a whole lot of fragments of information hanging around in the air. And we are concerned, we do listen fairly avidly to the national media, to the local media. I really think this rumor mongering has been expanded, exaggerated out of scale. And again, once again, there was no specific instance where either myself or my colleague who was taken today, Dr. Goswami, could be pointed out. So, they were very cordial, they were very friendly. They, in the very beginning of the conversation, they just brushed aside the summons and said, let's discuss the fact that all the society is aggrieved, Calcutta is fractured, people are feeling unsafe, they are feeling insecure, and how do we go on repairing these broken bonds in society? So the rest of the discussion was on these lines. And that forced me to make a comment. I said, look, these are very warm, sincere discussions, but this is almost like you asking somebody, inviting somebody to a birthday party by issuing a summons. So I don't even think that the police department does it very often. We could have had as a civil conversation, because you've seen the photographs, there were depict videos, there were 100,000 people accompanying us. The whole of central Calcutta was in a state of paralysis. The whole media, the 100,000 people, mostly of medical fraternity, they were with us. So was it necessary to cause this social aggravation again, as if we've not enough? So I don't really suspect their intention, but I really think they are getting so far they have got their public relation methods very wrong. And we have said it in no uncertain terms that in future, anything related to like this, you want to speak to us, you want to speak to a doctor, you want to discuss certain thing with a journalist, with a YouTuber, learn to have a social engagement, a civilized social conversation. Why do you need this Vietnam-like posturing of issuing summons? There were about 5,000 policemen, 100,000 people on the road. God knows how many layers of barricade there were. So honestly speaking, it probably made for exciting television, but all of it was largely unnecessary waste of resources.
But, Dr. Sarkar, the fact is you're an eminent personality. There was much talk that you're going to be fighting the election the last time around. And just one day before the Independence Day, you put out a video which goes viral. And you actually call the Kolkata police chaprasis of the current dispensation. So I'm clear, there must be something that they've taken heart on that account. But, coming to a bigger question, Dr. Sarkar, which is misinformation. Because like the Sushant Singh Rajput case, there's been fair amounts of misinformation in this case as well. And the allegations are that some, even though citizens who meant well, started perpetrating and putting, out there information which wasn't coherent or correct. Therefore, spreading in terms of rumors and outrage which came at the back of incorrect information.
Yeah, you see, the first person who is credited with spreading fake news as a social tool was actually a long time back. It happened to be Alexander the Great. He used to do it before each and every of his campaign. So it is almost a historical phenomenon, nothing new. It's only the technology has changed. But the question is, fair enough, that is an important point. But if you have singled out two people who made some comments, then do bother to be specific. Because Dr. Goswami, my other colleague who was summoned, he's in the government sector. Now he's made a lot of this. He's discussed the post-mortem report in reasonable detail in the media. Now that report was made available to him by the family. And most of his comments, there was some misspelling about a milligram and a milliliter, stuff like that. But honestly, there wasn't much to debate about that. So there are points specific for which I'm sure police around the country have cyber cells, cyber security. You have all these people who are flushing out and verifying fake news. It's not something which is very unusual today. But that is fair enough. But you look at the matter in very simple perspective. Only the other day, when a football match was cancelled, you had a stadium of 150,000 people sitting in an empty stadium just to protest. There are more street protests planned later on in the week.
True.
So as if the city is still boiling and simmering.
No, there are no two ways. Dr. Sarkar, there are no two ways that Kolkata is raging on, and it should, keeping in mind what's happened. The charges are that certain people who are prominent enough to be taken very seriously and should have weighed their words, in terms of revealing the identity of the victim, one, in terms of making public an autopsy report, two, are both illegal to do as per the Supreme Court. And number one. And number two, because if one misinformation by someone who's perceived to be very informed is put out there, then it takes a life of its own because it's believed by that many people. And the echo chambers, you and I both understand, are very sensitive at this point of time.
No, your points are quite logical. Nobody debates. That is a very common sense point in civil society. But as I told you, Preeti, to the point in specifics, that the two people they had summoned, myself and the other chap, none of us had anything to do with revealing the information. And by the time the autopsy was discussed or whatever, yes, you have a point that unless it is made through sort of kosher channels, should the autopsy be discussed? I'm not so sure about that. But the autopsy, honestly speaking, is widely available. I think it's available as a reference document in the internet right now.
True.
It is available. Right. It is available. It is available in the forum. And if there was a factual point in question that you had a point, you're welcome. But there are ways and means of raising it. Is it important to paralyze a city by provoking a situation, having 100,000 people parade behind two real, sort of very ordinary doctors? The whole of central Calcutta comes to a halt. I think in these days of technology and communication, there would have been other sensible ways of doing it.
Well, you're very right, especially at this point of time. There are other ways of doing it. Let me ask you a political question, Dr. Sarkar, because the TMC and all, of course, one would hope that the Kolkata action and the politics is not connected, but is alleging that you have been a left sympathizer and therefore are trying to whip up emotions at a very sensitive time against the incumbent.
Preeti, I have had nothing to do with the left. It's like asking a tiger to be vegetarian. So I've never been remotely a leftist in my life. The only leftist person I ever admired in my whatever little smattering of history has been Ho Chi Minh, and that is where it stops and ends. So I've never had any kind of left leanings. Yes, I have leanings towards. I reserve my right of criticizing, commenting, appreciating of what happens in life and living around us. If there is something funny being done by the left, by the right, by the far right, by the loony left, I reserve my citizens' independence to call it out without carrying any label on myself. I do not. There has been n number of situations, be it medical, non-medical, social. We have called out the BJP n number of times as well. And I has been one of the biggest upholders, like it seemed to be a crazy health scheme that TMC brought around called Swasth Sathi, where 10 crore people were given. We criticized it, but we supported it as well. Okay. We were one of the fewest people who
So you hold no candle for the BJP or the left, you're saying?
I hold no candle for anybody. I just carry a little torchlight in my pocket. Whenever I feel an issue merits it, I shine the light on the merits and the substances of that issue.
Dr. Sarkar, appreciate you joining us and taking up the time, sir. Thank you there. So the action taken by the Kolkata police, is it a tad excessive, misplaced priorities right now to summon those who've been raising their voice for justice for that 31-year-old junior doctor? Or was it needed? Because viewers, let's just hark back to the times of Sushant Singh Rajput. There was so much misinformation out there, and some of that peddled by some very prominent people. Well, that is to think of. On the other hand, when it comes down to Mamata Banerjee, clearly, is she under siege politically and also by her biggest constituency that she's nurtured over decades, and that's women? Has Mamata Banerjee here met her Shingar moment? Is the ground beneath Mamata Banerjee's feet shaking? Well, let's cut across to our political panelists this evening. Joining me, Locket Chatterjee, State General Secretary, BJP West Bengal. I have Tosifur Rahman, spokesperson, TMC. Saira Shah Halim, she's a CPIM leader. Jayanta Ghoshal, senior journalist. Jayanta, I want to come to you first. Kolkata, understandably, hasn't stopped raging. There's anger which is still peaking on the streets, which is largely organic. Yes, there is a lot of political mobilization as well. But this is coming in organically from the streets of Kolkata, and it's not ebbing. That's the big point. You've had a Durand Cup match which was cancelled. There were protests in the stadium. You have Durga Puja around the corner. There are Durga Puja committees who are now refusing to take that 85,000 rupee grant from Mamata Banerjee. Do you see this is a moment of reckoning, possibly a 2011 moment for Mamata Banerjee?
Yeah, I think, Preeti, what you have said, I think it is organic. It is true that the discontent of the Bengal people is very strong, and perhaps this is the first time I am onlooker of this sort of movement. I mean, it's a spontaneous movement. And there is a strong mishandling of Kolkata police also. This is my personal opinion. And like Dr. Kunal Sarkar and the public intellectuals, they have become not only doctors, they have become public intellectuals, social influencers through their own YouTube channel and blogs. I think tactically also, it is not very correct move to bring them into Lal Bazaar, and because there is a knee-jerk reaction. But this is the one side story. As a journalist, I should see the other side. The story is the huge misinformation and the disinformation, and the panic. And we can say that the political in the party system, the opposition always take advantage of this sort of information terror, I can say. And Mamata Banerjee, when she was opposition leader, on several issues, she was also done this sort of agitation against CPM. But the only unfortunate part is that the priority is the punishment of the rapist. What is our priority? To dislodge the Mamata Banerjee government?
Okay.
This is our priority? Or our priority is to punish? Because, governor is in Delhi and BJP can recommend 356. BJP can go and the government can implement 356, showing that there is a major topsy-turvy law and order problem. This is another political side of the story. But I want to give more priority to the punishment of the rapist, and that priority has become an Mamata,
Right.
movement of the political parties, and the other side is the spontaneity of the
Right.
civil society is absurd. There are
So,
two issues actually.
Jantada, basically what you're saying is that the lines have seemingly blurred because there is this organic movement, but there is this political mobilization to dethrone Mamata Banerjee, and it's all coming together in a possible perfect storm at the back of this massive tragedy that has occurred in West Bengal. But Tausifur Rahman, I want to bring you in on this. You know, at one end you have the Kolkata police, who many would say misplaced priorities, summoning up people who've posted a critique of Mamata Banerjee's government on social media. That is one part. Then you yourself, where the government comes into question, facing fire. You've had a football match, the Durand Cup, which was cancelled. You've had protests inside the stadium. Then you have Durga Puja committees who are today refusing to take that grant from your government because they don't trust you anymore. And take all of that away. Look at the parents of this 31-year-old girl. Because now they are saying that possibly there was an attempt to even hurry up the cremation of the 31-year-old young junior doctor who was raped and murdered.
Good evening, Preeti, and good evening to everyone. Preeti, I mean, you started with the word anger, and I believe anger is justified. You know, anger is there, and it should be there. It should not go. I mean, the anger should be there in the city because it's valid. I mean, whether the protesters sitting outside the hospital, the students, the females, the boys, I mean, they all demands are valid. I mean, and we know we cannot back out. We are there to answer each and everything. But Preeti, at the same time, when you talk about the misinformation, there is the problem. Like when, Jantada was talking about misinformation and fake news. I mean, this is creating a havoc in the city. I mean, the opposition can always target the other part of the city, that's okay. The other part of the team, that's okay. But they should always be responsible that if you spread any kind of fake news, this whole thing can create into a massacre. This is what we see on the 14th night. I mean, the police was there to help all the commoners. I mean, lakhs and lakhs were there out in the city to protest. And the Kolkata police was there to help them. But suddenly, there was 25 to 30 people emerged as a goon inside the RGK hospital and vandalized the property. I mean, this is what we are talking about, Preeti. I mean, you are not talking about the security labs, but I will say that, of course, the third floor was not having a CCTV, it's a security labs. I mean, it shouldn't be there. I don't want to compare my hospital, my city hospital with Safdarganj, AIIMS, Patna, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, because that will be a whataboutery. If something was not there, it was not there.
Okay,
it's a big fault.
Mr. Rahman, as I bring in the BJP spokesperson, as I bring in Lockit Chatterjee and also Shaira Shalim, I want to ask you one more quick question again, and yes, I will reiterate. The family of the young doctor has now made a very, very strong and damning allegation where they are saying that there seemed to be a hurry to cremate the remains of their young daughter.
Ma'am, I don't agree totally with them, but I have full respect because their points are also valid as well. But, at the same time, when you talk about the criminalization which went into an immediate action, hari kari, but they never said about this on that particular day. I mean, this happened. I'm not saying, I'm not denying it. But at the same time, ma'am, if you could have heard the parents today, they were saying that we have full faith in the government, we have full faith in the administration, and I believe the CM will do their job, the administration will stand with us.
But they're also saying that there was an attempt to hurry the cremation, Tausifur Rahman, and that's a big question mark, and that question needs to be asked.
Ma'am, it's a big sensitive thing. It's a quite sensitive thing, and I don't think so I have any valid answer for this because it's quite sensitive. We know few parts.
But you need to have answers. That's
what
the problem.
Happened inside the cremation.
Well, you need to have answers. That's the problem. Lockit Chatterjee, to bring you in, you're the State General Secretary, BJP West Bengal. And Lockit Chatterjee, you're also one of those who have been summoned by the Kolkata police. Number one, ma'am, I'm sure you realize you're in a position of power, that spreading misinformation at a time like this can be damning, especially coming from people in positions of power like you. And you have been today accused of sharing which is not allowed to be done, the face of the girl and revealing her identity on social media.
Good evening. It's a very sensitive issue. और अभी मैंने जितना मतलब बहुत सारा लोगों के साथ जो भी डिबेट चल रहा है, लेकिन उन लोगों का वॉइस बहुत सिमिलर है। वी वांट जस्टिस। द फेल्यूर ऑफ द तृणमूल गवर्नमेंट, फेल्यूर ऑफ कोलकाता पुलिस, फेल्यूर ऑफ कोलकाता बंगाल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन। तो इसमें हम लोग चाहते हैं कि इसमें राजनीति नहीं होना चाहिए, लेकिन बार बार हम लोग यही देख रहे हैं कि ये लोग ये इशू को थोड़ा सा पॉलिटिसाइज कर रहे हैं। पहले तो ये क्वेश्चन है पेरेंट्स के तरफ से, उसका मम्मी पापा के तरफ से, कि क्रिमेशन के दिन इन्होंने इतना जल्दबाजी क्यों किया था। इसका कोई आंसर नहीं है, इन लोगों का आंसर एक ही तरफ से है। और सेकंड है, 3 घंटा से अपेक्षा करने के बाद भी इसको बेटी को नहीं देखने दिया। वाई? और उस टाइम जब उनका डेथ का खबर हुआ था, उसमें फोन करके उन लोगों को बोला था इट्स ए सुसाइड केस और इज ए अननेचुरल डेथ। तो ये सब जो प्रश्न आते हैं ये कोलकाता पुलिस के तरफ से ही आए थे। तो इसके ऊपर अगर कोई सोशल मीडिया में, पूरा कोलकाता शहर में, पूरा बंगाल में, पूरा देश में जो आंदोलन, जो भी आवाज उठ रहे हैं, उसके ऊपर सोशल मीडिया में बहुत सारा लोग लिख रहे हैं। हम लोग के भी डॉक्टर कुणाल सरकार को और एक डॉक्टर को ये समन मिला है, मुझे भी मिला है। मुझे एक ही बात लगता है कि कोलकाता पुलिस ने सोशल मीडिया के ऊपर आंख लगा के बैठे हैं, लेकिन अगर कोलकाता पुलिस थोड़ा सा इसको लेकर, ये डेथ को लेकर, ये मर्डर को लेकर अगर थोड़ा सा प्रायोरिटी दे देते तो अभी तक इसका जो दोषी है ये सामने आ जाते। लेकिन ये लोग पूरा इशू को दबाने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि इनका जो ममता बनर्जी, इनका जो गार्जियन है, वो भी इशू को दबाने के लिए रास्ता के ऊपर आ गया है। आप बोलिए, ये तो मतलब कभी भी हम लोग देश में नहीं देखा, एक सरकार खुद के सरकार के विरोध में रास्ते के ऊपर आ गया है और कोई दूसरा लोग आ जाते हैं, कोई डॉक्टर्स लोग आ गया है। आज डॉक्टर कुणाल सरकार और बहुत सारा डॉक्टर्स ने गया था, तो उनके लिए 144 लगा देते हैं। क्या ये पॉलिटिकल इशू तो नहीं है? लेकिन ये सरकार चाहते हैं कि इसको पॉलिटिकल इशू बनाओ। ये सरकार स्टेज के मंच के ऊपर बैठ के बोलते हैं कि ये सीपीएम बीजेपी का ये राम बाम का खेल है। उस दिन जो आरजीकर में जो तोड़फोड़ हुआ है, तो आप बता दीजिए, ये पहले ठीक करे, इसको पॉलिटिकल इशू बनाएंगे जी? इसको क्या नेचुरल, इसको पूरा देश में जो भी हुआ था उसका इशू बनाएंगे?
बट लॉकेट जी, देखिए आपने जो सवाल अभी उठाए हैं बिल्कुल सही है कि जो उनके पेरेंट्स ने सवाल उठाए हैं उनको आंसर्स मिलने चाहिए, क्रिमेशन पे मिलने चाहिए, बाकी जो और सवाल हैं होने चाहिए। पर इसमें आपने फिर एक बात कही है जो मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन कहलाई जाएगी, क्योंकि कोलकाता पुलिस ने ये नहीं कहा था सुसाइड है, ये उनको बताया गया था, ये पेरेंट्स ने ही बोला है लॉकेट जी, उनको ये बताया गया था कि ये बात जो स्टाफ था हॉस्पिटल का, कॉलेज का, वो पहला इंफॉर्मेशन किसी ने उनको दिया था कि सुसाइड है, ये कोलकाता पुलिस ने नहीं बोला था। और लॉकेट जी,
कोलकाता
नहीं, ये कोलकाता पुलिस को अभी तक पता नहीं है कि
वो फोन कौन किया था। कोलकाता पुलिस को अभी तक पता नहीं है कि पेरेंट्स लोगों को कौन किया था फोन। ये तो 10 मिनट का काम है कोलकाता पुलिस का। अगर कोई सोशल मीडिया में लिखते हैं तो तुरंत समन भेज देते हैं।
एक सेकंड लॉकेट जी, ये एडिशनल सुपरिटेंडेंट जो थे वहां,
the call was done by additional superintendent. This is what the statement came from the parents.
जी चलिए, तो ये जो इसमें जो एक्चुअल फैक्ट है वो हॉस्पिटल और कॉलेज ने किया था, और वो भी बहुत गलत बात है, वो इन्वेस्टिगेट होना चाहिए।
Absolutely.
पर लॉकेट जी, मैं आपसे दूसरा सवाल पूछूंगी, क्योंकि इसमें पॉलिटिक्स क्यों नहीं होनी चाहिए? होनी चाहिए, और जो आप लोग कर रहे हो मे बी ठीक ही कर रहे हो, क्योंकि अगर आप ये नहीं करोगे, सवाल नहीं उठाओगे, तो कौन उठाएगा? पर गलत चीजें स्प्रेड करना, लॉकेट जी, जो आपको चार्ज दिया गया है कि आपको समन किया गया है कि आपने इस महिला के जो 31 ईयर ओल्ड जूनियर डॉक्टर है उसका फोटो, उसका आइडेंटिटी सोशल मीडिया पे रिवील किया, ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट के तहत एक कानूनी जुर्म है लॉकेट जी।
अभी तक मैंने कोई भी फोटो सोशल मीडिया में नहीं दिया। अभी तक मैंने लाल बाजार पुलिस स्टेशन में नहीं गया। किस कारण के लिए मुझे समन भेजा गया है अभी तक मुझे पता नहीं है। जब कोलकाता पुलिस के लाल बाजार में जाएंगे तब मुझे पता चलेगा किस कारण से हमको समन भेजा गया है, क्योंकि जो नोटिस है उसमें साइबर क्राइम का बात किया है, लेकिन किस लिए किया है ये अभी तक उन्होंने लिखा नहीं, स्पष्ट नहीं किया है।
30 seconds.
लेकिन जी मुझे यही बात का अफसोस है कोलकाता पुलिस ने जैसे प्रायोरिटी के तरफ से इतना लाख लाख करोड़ों करोड़ों महिला लोग फोटो दिया, अब तृणमूल का सांसद ने भी, तृणमूल का 2-3 सांसद ने भी पीछे में नाम देकर धरना आंदोलन में बैठे हुए हैं। तृणमूल का सांसद ने एक बाइट में 10 बार वो महिला को नाम लिया है, लेकिन अभी तक उनको कोई भी समन जारी नहीं किया है। सिर्फ विरोधी लोग, विरोधी कंठ को समन भेज रहे हैं ये लोग। आप बोलिए इसमें क्या है? अगर कोलकाता पुलिस ठीक ठाक न्यूट्रली करते तो तृणमूल सांसद को भी समन भेज सकते थे,
पर भेजा है। राज्यसभा, जो राज्यसभा के उनके एमपी हैं उनको भी समन आया है, क्योंकि
उन्होंने तृणमूल के विरोध में बोला है। ये इशू तो के जो इशू हुआ है उसके लिए बोले हैं, लेकिन उनके पास समन आया दूसरा।
चलिए, आपका एक पॉइंट तय है
कि बोले हैं
एक सेलेक्टिव टारगेटिंग है क्या ये कोलकाता पुलिस से, नंबर 1, और इस वक्त shouldn't they be focusing on other things? That's the other question. Just stay on with us, Loket Chatterjee. Mr. Rahman, you wanted to come in for a rebuttal, then I'll go to Saira Shahli.
मैम, a quick response, I understand. लोकेट जी, अभी आप कह रहे थे कि मैंने ऐसा क्या किया। आप कल मेरे साथ डिबेट में थे और आपने कल कहा था कि आरजी कार में सेक्स रैकेट चल रहा है, ऑर्गन रैकेट चल रहा है। ये सबसे बड़ा मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन आप दे रहे थे। यू डू अंडरस्टैंड लोकेट जी, इफ यू स्प्रेड। लोकेट जी, 1 सेकंड, आई रियली रिस्पेक्ट,
बोल रही हूँ, आरजी कार में बहुत सारा कुछ चलते हैं, सिर्फ
that's a matter of investigation. Let's not give out facts which can take a life of its own, especially in the times that we live in. That's a matter of investigation. I want to go to Saira Shah Halim, CPIM leader as well as a women rights activist. But Saira Shah Halim, the charge right now is that along with a very organic protest, there is an opportunity sensed by the left and the BJP, and now there is political mobilization to dethrone Mamata Banerjee, taking advantage of what is already a protest which is rising from the streets.
Okay, so firstly, good evening. I'd like to make one thing very clear. There is no political mobilization. I can speak, from the left viewpoint or the Congress. I don't know about the Bharatiya Janata Party. Again, the people agitating on the road are women. It's a very spontaneous moment. The people agitating are students, they are doctors, they are nurses. It's civil society. Now, why are people getting more and more angry is because there's been, a thwarted effort from Mamata Banerjee's government side to see that this peaceful protest, this peaceful movement is squashed in the bud. Why? Because now doctors are being summoned. I don't have any, I'm not protesting if political people are being summoned. However, now, eminent people like Dr. Kunal Sarkar or Dr. Ghosh and other people have been summoned, which is really, really worrisome. Because here, instead of taking accountability of what is happening, instead of taking ownership, Mamata Banerjee and the government, what they're trying to do, they're trying to stifle a women's movement because we are simply to make safer spaces for women. We are also asking for the Central Protection Act to protect the doctors of not only Kolkata, to protect the doctors of India. So if such a movement is going to get derailed by, it's been alleged that, they were goons, at Arjikar who were trying to stifle this very, very pertinent movement, then people are going to get angrier. That is what I want to say. Here, you need to see that there have been very, very misogynistic and lopsided statements made by the sitting MPs of TMC. Mr. Arup Chakrabarti, what does he say? You can go home or go out with your boyfriend, but if a patient dies, we won't save you. So this is an open threat to the silent protesters. Now, again, I want to question the TMC spokesperson on this panel today, that all the women parliamentarians who are so vociferous, who are so vocal, why are they absconding when this unfortunate, very tragic, very horrific incident took place? Why couldn't they voice their concerns and say that no, I'm not
Saira Shah Halim, we're having a massive problem with your audio. We're going to try and correct it. But Tausifur Rahman, there was a question that was posed by Saira Shah Halim. Would you care to answer that?
Ma'am, can you just repeat the question? Actually,
she's saying what she said was that when this crime occurred, there was a sense of being back-footed by the TMC, and especially the women MPs who've usually been very vocal were very slow to come out and speak and not as vocal as they would have been otherwise. That's the charge.
I mean, ma'am, I do respect what Sarah is saying. You know, I mean, she's angry as well. And I see all the women in the city, they all are angry, and I have to respect that. But at the same time, Mahua Moitra came out. I mean, Shiny Ghosh was there. Each and every, if you see their tweet, they all are there. I mean, you just cannot sit in a TV and AC room and just comment on that. Ma'am, but the main problem, I mean, from day one, we have been asked, we have done nothing. And that's not true, ma'am. The misinformation thing is the biggest problem which is happening in the city right now. I mean, Locket Chatterjee,
you know,
it's okay. You have, ma'am, you have all the right to attack the opposition. You can abuse the Trinamool Congress. You can abuse the administration. You can abuse the Kolkata police. You can abuse MP, MLA, us, whatsoever. But please, you have to understand, Locketji, you were talking about post-mortem reports. Your people said that it never happened in front of the parents. I mean, inquest, during the post-mortem, the family and the judiciary magistrate was available out there. It happened in front of their eyes. I mean, when you said the pelvic girdle was broken, there was no fracture, ma'am. This is what we are scared about, the misinformation.
All right,
you want to protest, it is your right.
But Tausifur Rahman, you know, the fact is,
right.
you know, the irony in all of this is that you're saying you're scared. Because, you know, let's not get ahead of ourselves. That the people of Kolkata, the many women who've taken to the streets are scared, and they're very scared by the kind of reaction they've got from the TMC. Don't say that, you know, it's all a part of a misinformation campaign. That's incorrect. I can give you 3 pointers right now, Mohammad Tausifur, where you yourself on the show have come out and say you understand and you don't have an answer for that. Why was the principal reinstated to an equally prestigious college? There's a question on that. Why is it that the parents today are still saying that they felt that there was an attempt to hurry the cremation of their young 31-year-old daughter? There are questions where you don't have answers to, sir.
Preeti ji, I have been answering about the principle each and every day on your show and other channels as well. You know, at 9 a.m. when the students demanded that we don't want to see this precisely principle in my institute and RG Kar, we want to remove this principle.
Yeah, only to be reinstated in an equally... No, come on, sir. For someone who has sat over an administrative failure of proportions like this, you reinstate him? You know, let's not get there. But okay, Locket Chatterjee, I want to bring you in.
तौसिफ जी, मुझे एक बात बताइए, जिस संदीप घोष जिन्होंने उन्होंने मीडिया के सामने बोला कि हम रिजाइन दे रहे हैं, उसके 1 घंटे के अंदर उनको नेशनल मेडिकल कॉलेज में उसको अध्यक्ष के रूप से उसको पोस्ट दे दिया गया. इसका कारण क्या है? ये तो सीबीआई ने किया.
रिजाइन की बात नहीं की थी.
उन्होंने रिजाइन की बात किया था. उन्होंने पब्लिक के सामने
लॉकेट जी ये सवाल है, पर सवाल ये भी है कि इसके साथ साथ ये सवाल पूछा गया है लॉकेट जी, पर सवाल ये भी है कि इसके साथ साथ एक मैसिव मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन कैंपेन चलाया जा रहा है, जहां पर आप पे चार्ज है कि आप जो चीजें पुख्ता नहीं है, फैक्चुअली इनकरेक्ट हैं, वो आप पब्लिक डोमेन में पुश कर रहे हो कि और एंगर बढ़े.
प्रीति जी, मुझे यही कहना है कि हम लोग वी वांट जस्टिस. इससे हम लोग कोई भी जगह से हम लोग हट रहे हैं. बहुत सारा इश्यूज, पॉलिटिकल इश्यूज, सोशल मीडिया, ये सब आने से हम लोग मेन जो इश्यूज है उससे बाहर जा रहे हैं. हम चाहते हैं क्योंकि तृणमूल जो लोग अभी इसको लेके बात कर रहे हैं, इसका मोटिव है इससे हटके मेन इश्यू से हम लोग हट जाए और जस्टिस के लिए जो भी हमारे लिए जो टाइम हम लोग ले रहे हैं उससे थोड़ा सा
Jayantudha, I'll ask you a final question. No, sir, I'm running out of time. I want to bring in Jayantudha back into this conversation. Final question. Sir, I'm running out of time. You've had allow others. Jayantudha, one final question. Is there a sense now, especially seeing what's taking place on the ground where the TMC is concerned, you know, what's happening at the back end? Is there a sense that they've mishandled the situation? Is there any feedback that Mamata Banerjee is getting?
Yeah, I think mishandling was there. You know, over complacency is always bad for governance. And this sort of incident, if you compare what happened in the CPM era, what happened in Bantala or Tapsi Malik, I think this is the time to introspect what is your fault lines in the governance. It is first priority should be punish the rapist, and second priority should be to correct the fault lines in your governance.
And you're
Because you
saying
have
there is an
to
attempt
accept
to,
the
is
fact.
there an attempt to address it, Jayantuda?
Yeah, because better late than never. Because, for a political party, for Loket Chatterjee, it is very important. She's a very prominent BJP leader in West Bengal. She should use that opportunity. I don't mind. But, just as a citizen of, this country, and especially I'm from Bengal, I think there should be a consensus approach also to resolve this sort of
Let's just hope there's also, right, I'm running out of time.
There is no election.
There is no election in
there
the
is
next
no
2
issue
years,
of the mandate
but this is a time of deep introspection, especially for the TMC, and where the people are concerned, well, it seems that they're finally faced with the realities of party governance. We're going to leave it at that, but let's quickly appreciate all our guests for joining us. But let's take a look now at the autopsy report, which is now in public domain. The CBI's probe into the Kolkata rape and murder horror has only deepened. The fight for justice continues, and India today has accessed the victim's post-mortem report. Now, there were more than 14 injuries on her body, including on the head, the vagina, cheeks, her lips, jaws, neck, knee and ankle. The autopsy also says that the weight of external and internal genitalia was 151 grams with thick fluid inside her vagina. It also confirms that her death was due to manual strangulation and smothering. Dr. Jayalal, former IMA chief, is joining us now. The autopsy report of the 31-year-old junior doctor is now public. To get a larger understanding on what it really means, because there's so much misinformation as well that has gone around the autopsy report. Doctor, appreciate you joining us. Dr. Jayalal, when you take a look at the autopsy report of this 31-year-old junior doctor, what, according to you, is the nature of the crime and how brutal was it?
No, there is no doubt that the crime is quite atrocious and quite brutal, and it is a very unnatural and unimaginable level of torture has been impounded on the patient to getting such kind of damages as described in the postmortem to get. And that to a young lady to have such a devastating injuries, and definitely it cannot be from a single person. It must be from the multiple persons with the multiple way of assault. Only that such a people can get such kind of injuries.
At least with what our understanding of the autopsy report is, it rejects the claim that 150 grams of semen was found in the victim's body. Now, that was also the part of the petition filed by the doctor's parents before the Kolkata or the Calcutta High Court. Prima facie, where the autopsy report is concerned, that part is rejected, sir. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So it cannot be. First of all, I must say that if this is the true report, and we must say it must be done by quite an amateur forensic medicine expert. It is not in the proper way written forensic report. Mm-hmm. The autopsy must have been done in a much hurried way, and it is not systematically reported the injuries and systematically explained the injury. So, and the words they are used are very vague.
Right.
And this is not usually a forensic expert will write the forensic report. And such kind of mistakes, which we see in the language is totally unexpected for a forensic report, because each word in the forensic report, including a comma, which is there, can change the entire scenario of the report.
That's another that's another big startling inference that you've made, where you're saying the autopsy report is seemingly done in a hurry and somebody who wasn't very experienced of putting an autopsy report together.
I very authentically say that because we see hundreds of autopsy reports from different kinds of people and different stages. So none of the mature or professor cadre in autopsy person will write such a superfluous report with lot of errors here and there. The sentence is not appropriate because we have a manual. The manual very clearly says and what should be there or what should not be there. The language which is used is quite astonishing to me also, because I find because the whole case, when the case is coming to an argument in the court, The whole of things depends upon the words mentioned here.
Right.
If there is a good lawyer, and he can easily split through this and get the
he can manipulate this report.
So this forensic report is intentionally put in a loose terms, so that when it comes to the court and anyone can argue forcibly, saying that there's something mistake is there. So then the whole question is there.
Right. So Dr. Jayalal, the 150 grams that is mentioned is possibly the weight of the genitalia and not the fluid.
Absolutely, the fluid, nobody will weigh in the grams, and if there is, and that too they are saying is something like a white, thick, viscous liquid, and it is unusual terminology. We don't use a word like thick liquid. There's nowhere it is been mentioned. There is a way, if they are expecting it is a sermon, they should have described in a particular way, and how they have collected, and what the investigation they get sent for, and at the end of the report, they must include what are the organs they have taken for sending, or what are the materials they have used for sending for a chemical analysis or DNA analysis. Nothing is being excluded in this. And again, even the 151 grams, it is how they measured and what was the material used to measure as 150 grams is still a doubt. And there cannot be an internal and external genitalia can be measured together. You can, most of the time when we do the forensic,
so we still don't know what that 150 grams or 151 grams is there.
Yeah, 151 grams. And what is that external and internal genitalia you mean?
What does he mean?
You can never take the external genitalia separately and put it in for the measurement. External genitalia is a vagina and the inner part. And that you cannot cut it, take it out and put for measurement. You can only measure the internal genitalia, or otherwise known as uterus, and over you can take for measurement. But these words, they put external and internal genitalia measurement. And that is, that clearly explains this is not written by somebody who is an expert in forensic medicine.
So it's as absurd as it gets there. But Dr. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Or it must be written intentionally to nullify this forensic report.
Doctor, I'll ask you one final question as well, because in the autopsy report, there is no mention, and the family of the girl has mentioned that her pelvis bone was crushed. Is there any suggestion that the pelvis bone was broken or crushed?
No. When we were also talking with the lady, this mother, parents, and they were telling like that, and they were also telling there was a fracture in the clavicle. But this report very categorically saying there is no fracture which they have noted in the clavicle or the pelvic fracture. So altogether, with my medical background, and I do not trust this forensic report, and I still doubt it is not being done in a proper way. It is being done in a hurriedly. The injuries noted and the words which they are using for that, and the lips upper and inner, it has no meaning. What they mean by lips upper and inner? You have a lower lip and upper lip. There is nothing called inner lip.
So the protocol, the set language to be used in autopsy is, you're saying, universal, and that language was not used.
That is universal. We have a Modi's textbook of forensic medicine, or whatever the pattern which you use, whether it is Kashmir or in Kanyakumari, the autopsy report is going to be the same.
And here it wasn't.
We are following the same thing.
And here it wasn't.
It is not.
Sir.
But it wasn't.
I appreciate you joining us, Dr. Jayalal. You've made some very, very shocking inferences. Well, with that, startling inferences made, where the doctor clearly says that somebody either intentionally wrote what he did in the autopsy report, which could not stand or will not be able to stand as evidence in court, or somebody who wasn't authorized to conduct an autopsy because the language used is nothing like a regular autopsy report is. Startling inferences there.